Meanwhile, there's Iranian-backed Houthi rebels firing 2 missiles at a cargo ship in the Red Sea en route to Iran, causing minor damage but no injuries there. This is believed to be the first time the Houthis have targeted an Iran-bound ship since launching its attack on international shipping. Reuters is reporting the ship targeted was managed by U.S. NASDAQ-listed Star Bulk Carriers. Joining me right now is Fox News senior strategic analyst. He is chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane. General, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for being here this morning.
Yeah, good morning, Maria.
What is your reaction to this hit from the Houthis?
Well, I think they likely made a mistake. I don't think they want to be firing on ships that are bringing corn out of Brazil into Iran. So they'll probably claim that it's not a mistake because they don't want to admit that they make mistakes. But look, at the Houthi activity is continuing. We haven't been able to stop it. We really need a sustained campaign to take away their capabilities, the rockets, the missiles, their command and control, their guidance systems. Take that in a regularly sustained campaign is really the issue here, as opposed to something that's more episodic. They have a finite number of rockets and missiles and systems. Also, the second thing that's very important is that we have to make certain we're very aggressive about the transshipment from Iran in terms of rockets and missiles and their supplies, in terms of military components, to be able to continue this function. The Houthis have literally shut down more than 50% of the traffic going through the Suez Canal and the Red Sea. I mean, that is a major victory on their part, and we've got to get after this.
Yeah, it sure is, and that's why I'm worried that this is going to trigger inflation again, General, because the fact that these ships have to go around the Horn of Africa and make this journey so much longer is obviously costing more money in terms of fuel, and that may very well be passed on to the consumer. So I'm looking at this as an economic story as well.
No, there's no doubt about it. It's impacting the global supply chain.
Right.
I'll leave it to the economic experts what the impact is going to be for sure.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, that is what they're trying to achieve. I mean, one of Iran's major objectives, they want to be the regional hegemon. They want to control the flow, particularly of oil, out of the Persian Gulf. But they want to control the shipping as well. They want to have influence over that. That's what their domination is all about. And that's why the Houthis are playing Iran's hand, not just the Houthis' own interests here. It's Iran that is driving it.
General, we do have breaking news right now. We want to show you these live pictures in the Senate because the Senate is passing the $95 billion aid package. It's going to mean money is going to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. They've been at this all night, General, and the voting started at 5:15. It looks like the money will pass in the Senate, but we don't have any border security, which is, of course, what the Republicans have been pursuing. Your reaction to this aid package passing the Senate?
Well, we got two major problems. Obviously, we have an open border that's been open now for years, and we've got to solve it at some point. And we also are trying to pass aid packages to Taiwan, Israel, and Ukraine. I'm certainly in favor of both of those things happening. This bill is only doing one of those. Look, we've got to get the funding to Ukraine. I mean, if Ukraine doesn't get the money, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got to make up our mind what kind of world we really want to live in. Do we want to really have the Iranians driving what's happening in the Middle East? Do we want to have Russia expanding beyond Ukraine? And we have to put considerably more forces into Europe as a result of that and spend a heck of a lot more money than what we would be spending on helping Ukraine? Is this really what we want, where China, Russia, and Iran are calling the shots and we're on our heels? That's what we're heading towards if we walk away.
It's a great point you make, sir. I also think the worry over the impact and the implications of all these illegal migrants coming into the country is equally concerning. You know, you've got massive impact on cities across the country. Meanwhile, Israel has released this new video showing the rescue of 2 hostages from Gaza. They released their video yesterday, as you know. Israeli forces storming a heavily guarded apartment in Rafah overnight to free 2 Argentinian citizens from Hamas's captivity. This stunning video, meanwhile, from Iran shows thousands of people marking the Islamic Revolution's 45th anniversary on Sunday. Large crowds reportedly chanting "Death to Israel, death death to America, some burning both countries' flags. General, your thoughts? General Keane, this is not getting any better, and Iran apparently sees itself as winning here.
Well, first of all, our hats off to the Israelis in that daring rescue and getting 2 hostages back. Certainly they had excellent intel and are able to pull that off. That's remarkable. Second thing, look, at the good news is that most of the Iranian people reject the mullahs and their regime for the last 45 years. They have nothing to show for the mullahs' leadership. Their life has not improved whatsoever. They reject the fact that the mullahs get them involved in these so-called proxy wars all over the Middle East. The fact of the matter is the mullahs are hollow, and that's why we've got to put pressure on them and continue to have that pressure on them and reset our strategy with Iran. It is not right. It is insufficient in dealing with them. The appeasement diplomatic strategy has failed miserably. And we've got to look at this thing holistically now in terms of sanctions, stuff like the Trump administration, isolate them internationally, and respond to this very aggressive proxy war that they're conducting by our own military aggression.
Yeah, I don't know why we're not ramping it up right now. Maybe there's something we don't know, but the Pentagon is saying that Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is expected to resume his normal duties today, General. He was readmitted to the hospital. He checked into critical care at Walter Reed National Medical Center on Sunday, as you know, for an emergency bladder issue. Here's what the Pentagon had to say about Austin's latest hospital stay yesterday. Watch.
He's in good condition, according to his doctors. He will remain in the ICU ward for the duration of his stay in order to provide appropriate privacy and will continue to receive critical care support in order to closely monitor his progress. His current bladder issue is not expected to change his anticipated full recovery from cancer, and his prognosis for cancer remains excellent. The White House was informed that he was being taken to the hospital, so that happened before he actually departed to go to the hospital. Congressional notifications were made as well.
General, of course, we're praying for Lloyd Austin, and we wish him a very, very safe and speedy return. But he also was forced to scrap a trip to Brussels to take part in a Ukraine defense contract group gathering tomorrow. General, your thoughts on the implications of this?
Well, they can handle that. I mean, his deputy will likely go, and Austin was the one that really started that whole initiative in bringing all the defense ministers together.
Well, just broadly speaking, that he's unwell. Yeah, well, they're also telling us, I think it depends how you look at that report. I thought that was a fairly positive report in the sense that he's progressing with his cancer issue, and this is not going to set him back, and he's going to be out of the hospital and resuming full duties here within a day or so. So I understand what happened in the past and the mistake he made with it, but I think this is not going to be anything that's going to last any length of time, certainly, which would bring into question whether he should continue his duties or not. This seems to be temporary, and fortunately for him, he's going to be back on his feet here pretty quick. All right, Godspeed. General, good to see you. Thank you, sir.
All right, great talking as always, Maria.